Welcome to Hot Button Hashtags. My name is Matt. I may have mentioned this in the past, but my dad was not exactly a stellar example of how to raise your children, how to be present and attentive as a parent. So, as most kids from my generation, I turned to Hollywood for my example for what a man was to be like. The example that I tended to glom onto was whatever Robin Williams happened to be doing at the time. And then as I got older, I kind of became a Mel Gibson fan. Actually, we recorded Lethal Weapon off of TV one time. They edited out all the cuss words, not by beeping them or just muting them, but they replace the word with another word, but they didn't change their lips. So I learned to say, "You airhead." That's a fun trick I can do. Relying on movies to be your example is never a good idea. Never a good idea. And I'll give you one very brief explanation why. 1991, Hook. At its core, it is a story of a failed parent. A father who is so caught up in his own work, in his own business, in his own dealings that he forgets to pay attention to his kids. He forgets to be there for his kids. And his kids, they start to internalize that and they start to kind of feel unimportant and unloved. Unlovely, even. That's a terrible thing for a child to feel. Now, this father, what does he do? Well, he's sort of a real estate mogul, developer kind of guy. They don't really go into detail, but one of his projects is to build a children's hospital, or a wing, rather, of a hospital, and dedicate it to a wonderful elderly woman who has helped thousands of children. Maybe not thousands, that might be stretching it a bit, but many, lots, a whole bunch, a whole room full of people in tuxedos. She helped them find families. Not when they were old people in tuxedos, but when they were small children, probably in pants. Kids wear pants. The good ones do. He's, on some level, doing philanthropic work. Good for the community. He's helping thousands of children, potentially. Because of an imagined slight, someone has come along and kidnapped this man's children. Granted, he apparently, because he's so caught up in his business of helping children, doesn't like his own children all that much. I mean, that's what the movie seems to be telling us. But he is heartbroken when his children turn up missing. And so, like a schlub, like a miserable, stupid schlub, he calls the cops. What kind of father does that? When the police sort of blow it off, he gets drunk. In his drunken stupor, he is spirited away to a magical land that should not exist. And he finds himself surrounded by angry, bloodthirsty pirates who wish him harm. They are the ones who've kidnapped his kids. They've got his kids up in a net. They say, "Fly up and touch your children's hands. Touch their outstretched hands and we will set them free." But because he's such a terrible father, he can't do it. How lame is that? Any dad worth his weight in whatever dads are made of could fly up there and touch their hands, right? Not this guy, because he sucks. He's hopeless. He's helpless. He's pitiful and awful and wretched. The entire movie throughout this point revolves around how miserable he is as a parent. And it's okay to hate him. It's encouraged, in fact. A key scene in the movie to really highlight how horrible he is. He's on his cell phone. His kids are jumping around, screaming, clawing at him, yelling and screaming and screaming. And he's in the middle of this big business deal that's falling apart around his feet and head or wherever business deals fall apart. And he screams at his kids. He yells at him. He tells them to leave. What parent has ever yelled at their children while they were on the phone and the kids were being loud? When has that ever happened? No, this guy obviously should have his children removed from his custody. He should be locked up with other people who've yelled at their kids. Now his kids have been kidnapped. He can't fly up and touch their hands. We hate him. But the movie takes a sort of an attitudinal shift. And the key moment is this. He learns to fly. Now that he can fly, we are encouraged to like him. Now that he has accomplished the impossible, it's okay. It's okay now. We can like him. Also, here's another interesting thing. After learning to fly, he has regressed to a childlike state and has forgotten he has kids. But we're still encouraged to like him. Fast forward 5 years to 1996. Mel Gibson, Ransom. This is a movie that revolves around a wealthy businessman. His son is kidnapped and held for ransom. Like a good parent, this man calls the police. Just like the other guy who called the police, but somehow he did it not like a courageous parent, but more like a coward, I guess. I don't know. It's in the wrist angle when you dial, I guess. I'm not sure. He calls the police, and they comply with the kidnappers' requests. They collect the ransom money, and the dad, there he is. He's ready to rescue his son. He's ready to pay these perpetrators and get his son back and rescue him. And he stacks the money up on a table. They turn on the news cameras, and he says, "You are never getting this money." That's a father's love right there. The movie basically paints this guy as this courageous, loving father. He's not gonna negotiate for the safety of his family. It's a given, and I don't remember the movie. It was terrible. Gary Sinise was in it, and that little kid heard his voice and he peed, and that's how they knew that Gary Sinise was the bad guy. Spoiler alert. I should have said that first. Sorry. So 1991, a father just doing his normal thing, building hospitals for children, and getting angry when his kids can't see that he's on the friggin' phone. We're supposed to hate him. Don't be like him. Don't build hospitals for children. But then this other guy who's super duper rich and has every intention of staying super duper rich refuses to pay the ransom for his son. But, the police do their job and they rescue the kid, and the dad's still the hero. That's why, like, the first 11 years of being a parent, I messed up. I messed it all up. But year 12 is about to start, so I'm going to do much better.